Welcome to a special episode of Arbitration Life and myArbitration. I am Hana Doumal.
And I'm Victoria Pam.
I am very excited to present this special episode of Arbitration Life and myArbitration with Victoria. We're not together here in the BVI, but we will see each other very soon in Edinburgh. Indeed, the long-awaited ICCA Congress is finally here. ICCA, the International Council for Commercial Arbitration, is a membership organization consisting of over 1,000 members drawn from the ranks of dispute resolution specialists. It is devoted to improving the processes of arbitration as well as other forms of dispute resolution through its many activities, which include the sponsoring of authoritative dispute resolution publications, promoting the harmonization of arbitration and conciliation rules, laws, procedures, and standards, and convening congresses and conferences.
Yes, and such conference is the ICCA Congress, held every other year in a different location. This year, it will take place in Edinburgh in Scotland, which is said to be one of the most attractive places to live in the UK. The Congress attracts a large number of participants from all parts of the world and has made significant contributions to the development and dispute resolution theory and practice. It involves presentations and discussions on different aspects of international dispute resolution. I will be attending this year and film a documentary about the ICCA Congress for myArbitration. And we're very excited today to speak with the ICCA Congress Chair as our guest here today.
Yes, he is a barrister, arbitrator, adjudicator, dispute board member, and mediator with over 25 years experience in dispute resolution. He is a solicitor advocate in Scotland with rights of audience before the Court of Session, the High Court, and the UK Supreme Court. He's also a practicing barrister, authorised to practice in all courts in England and Wales. He is accredited by the Law Society of Scotland as a specialist in construction law and as a specialist in arbitration law. He convenes the Society's Arbitration Accreditation Committee. In 2016, he became Scotland's first approved solicitor arbitrator. He is a fellow of the Charter Institute of Arbitrator. And in 2013, he was elected an eminent fellow of the Royal Institution of Chartered Surveyors. His focus involves construction, engineering, infrastructure, and energy, as well as general commercial disputes. With over a decade of experience sitting as an arbitrator under various institutional roles and also in audit arbitrations, he's also a FIDIC accredited adjudicator and an IMI qualified mediator.
He continues to make significant contributions to thought leadership in arbitration, both in his native Scotland and internationally. The Scottish Arbitration Centre was designed and established by him, and he has chaired the board since its inception in 2011. He's an honorary lecturer at the Centre for Energy, Petroleum and Mineral Law and Policy at the University of Dundee, and he has recently completed 2 terms as an external examiner in arbitration law and practice at Robert Gordon University. Please welcome Brandon Malone.
Hi, Brandon. Welcome to this special episode of myArbitration Life and myArbitration and Arbitration Life that I just called myArbitration Life. How are you?
Very well, thanks.
So how are things in Edinburgh?
Edinburgh is great just now. We've just finished the International Festival in the Fringe, which is the world's biggest arts festival. So it's always a busy time in Edinburgh. And now we're looking forward to welcoming the arbitration world to Scotland shortly for the ICCA Congress.
Sweet. Are you excited, Victoria?
I'm so excited, and it's just a few more weeks, right? A couple more weeks. I bet the preparations must be quite insane.
Yeah, it's a busy time. It's a busy time in the immediate run-up. Yeah, I mean, we've been preparing a long time. We were ready to go 2 years ago, of course.
Right, it was postponed a few times, right?
Yeah,
it's postponed 3 times, so we're ready to go now.
Well, it's great. And thank you so much for taking some time for us. We're very happy to have you today. So let's start. First question, when and how did you get started in arbitration? Would you say that you chose arbitration or arbitration chose you?
Yeah, I think possibly arbitration chose me to an extent. My background is general commercial litigation as a court lawyer, so arbitration was always part of the mix. You do arbitration, you do litigation, you do all the different forms of dispute resolution. And then around 25 years ago, I specialised in construction and engineering disputes. And that sector has always been fertile ground for ADR because of the number of disputes that are coming up all the time and the urgency, they need the flexibility, and they're very technical disputes. And then because I was in that sort of area, I got involved in the Chartered Institute of Arbitrators, the local branch here, the Scotland branch or Scottish branch. And then the Law Society of Scotland asked me to become involved in a Scottish Government committee that was looking at establishing an international dispute resolution centre for Scotland. So that eventually led to the creation of the Scottish Arbitration Centre, and from there I became involved in international arbitration.
Wow, wonderful. And we'll, I think, get into more details. We have a special question to hear about the Scottish Arbitration Centre. Thank you, Brandon.
Brandon, I want to know, how has arbitration changed from the time that you started up until today?
I think there have been a lot of changes and that it's evolving still as we speak. I've been involved with international arbitration, as I say, really just for the last 12 years or so. And in that time, I think there have been quite a lot of changes. So, for example, we've seen the Equal Representation Arbitration Pledge coming to the fore. And I really think we've seen the arbitral institutions taking that very seriously. And I include the Scottish Arbitration Centre in that. We have very firm policies on helping to achieve equality. Outside of the institutions, I think we still have some way to go. There's still an imbalance in the number of women arbitrator appointments by law firms and co-arbitrators. And we're still sadly getting occasional all-male panels at conferences. But certainly the direction of travel is towards equality. Certainly I think on the conference front, I think it's now unusual to see an all-male panel. It does happen from time to time. And I think that wasn't the case 10 years ago. So I think there has been a change there. On tribunals, obviously it's still fairly common to see all-male tribunals, although sometimes we see all-female tribunals. It depends. Yes. We've also seen the Racial Equality for Arbitration Lawyers campaign. And I think that's a very important initiative because it goes to the legitimacy of the system as a whole. It's not realistic to expect parties from developing countries in particular to accept that arbitration is the preserve of a small pool of European and North American arbitrators. So I think there's been a real shift there, which is for the good. Another shift, I think, is the rise of regional and even local arbitration centres, because again, I think that goes to the legitimacy of international arbitration. I think there's a mood in many parts of the world that the economic benefits that come with international arbitration need to be spread around a little, and that arbitration needs to be democratized. So we see many arbitral institutions springing up in developing nations where they're generating a lot of arbitration, but they're not necessarily getting the economic benefit of that arbitration being carried out in their jurisdiction. And it's not just developing nations. In my own jurisdiction, Scotland, we generate quite a lot of international arbitration in the energy sector, technology, finance, but actually there isn't a huge amount of it being dealt with in Scotland by Scottish lawyers and arbitrators. And that was something that the Scottish Arbitration Centre is set up to try and address that balance. We've also seen the Greener Arbitration Pledge, which I think has been a driver for digitalisation and virtual hearings. And then finally, of course, recently we've had the COVID pandemic, which has seen a rapid shift to virtual hearings and online arbitration and a greater uptake of technology. So many, many changes relatively recently, I would have to say.
Thank you for sharing that. I'm interested in the policies that you mentioned of the Scottish Arbitration Centre to achieve more equal representation. Can you share a little bit about that? Well,
we have a domestic, we have an appointments committee. We only make ad hoc appointments at the moment. We are looking to shift to an institutional model shortly. But at the moment we make ad hoc appointments. We have appointments committee, and we have domestic and international side of that. The chair of both the international and the domestic panels are women. We have gender equality. We've always tried to achieve gender equality on our board. If we have conferences, we make sure there are no all-male panels. And also socially, you know, when we have a dinner, we try to make sure that we have gender balance at our tables by making sure that there's a split of invitations that goes out. So those are some examples. For a while, we had a 100% record of appointing women as arbitrators, but that's because we hadn't made many appointments, in fairness.
Thank you, Brandon. And to follow up on that, so you've designed and established the Scottish Arbitration Centre, and you've been chair of its board since its inception in 2011. Can you please tell us about your role as chair?
Well, I, as you said, I designed the centre as it now is, and set it up with the help of my colleague Andrew Mackenzie, the chief executive. We brought in the leaders, representatives of the arbitration community to join the board of that in Scotland. So my role as chair is to provide leadership. I think that's the role of any chair of any board, really, or any leader of any organisation. Providing leadership, setting strategy and direction, and then building a consensus around that strategy and making sure that it's implemented. The specific role of chairing the centre, it's a very public-facing role. It involves promoting arbitration domestically to Scottish business, but then promoting Scotland internationally to the world as a safe and desirable seat of arbitration. So that involves speaking at and attending local and international conferences, writing articles, giving interviews.
Exactly.
Being the face of the centre. Day to day, I'm working closely with our chief executive, Andrew, and the executive team. And currently, we, apart from preparing for ICCA, of course, we're developing institutional rules and policies and the online systems that sit behind that will allow us to operate as an arbitral institution.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Brandon.
You're also the chair of this year's ICCA conference. Can you tell us what you're most excited about for the conference?
Well, I'm excited that it's actually going to happen.
Finally.
Finally, having been deferred 3 times over 2.5 years. But apart from that, seriously, I suppose the thing I'm most excited about is welcoming the international arbitration community to Scotland. And letting them see for themselves what we have here, what a great place Scotland is to arbitrate. I've been around the world for the last 11 years promoting the seat. So to get everyone coming here is fantastic. And I think that's really what I'm looking forward to the most. Of course, we also have a fantastic academic programme, which ICCA's programme committee has put together. And the social programme will be amazing as well. We have Scotland's First Minister speaking at the opening reception. And there'll be a huge gala dinner in Cayley with Scottish dancing, and that's going to be fantastic. And we're expecting around 1,500 people in total. So it'll be a very big gathering, and we see a lot of enthusiasm for it.
Scottish dancing? Okay, I want to see that.
Oh, yes.
Okay, fine. You'll teach us.
There will be instruction given. Yes.
Perfect. Sounds great. Now, Brandon, what would you say you enjoy the most about working in arbitration, and why?
I think what I like most is the people, the community, the international arbitration community. It's a wonderful community. They're very friendly and supportive and fun-loving, despite the hard work. So I think it's a great community to be part of. And beyond the people, I guess the answer would be the variety and the intellectual challenge of the work. Those would be my main points.
Very much so.
Maybe following up on that, what difficulties have you experienced in your career, and how did you overcome that?
Well, I've been working a long time, and I think I've had the same difficulties that many people will have had. You know, I've had a young family. It's difficult to get the work-life balance right as a father. And being a lawyer is a high pressure job, of course, and the hours can be long. And I'm sure I haven't always got that right. I've tried. And of course, particularly with international arbitration, sometimes you're away from home and that causes issues. So it's difficult to get that absolutely correct. And of course, stress. We all get stress as lawyers. I had a health incident. I had to recover from that. I was dead for a while, but I'm back. I had to deal with office politics, as most people do, conflict. There was a financial collapse in 2008 I had to deal with, and then recently the COVID pandemic. So I'm not sure that I have any great pearls of wisdom on how to deal with these things, or how I personally have overcome these issues, other than, I suppose, determination and optimism. But I suppose I can offer some cliches. So one is, if you're going through hell, keep going. That's a good cliche, because it's true. Nothing stays the same forever and nothing lasts forever. So just keep going till it's over. Another cliche: a problem shared is a problem halved. In other words, if you have a problem, share it, get a different perspective, get help. There's no shame in that. Don't sit and suffer in silence. Another one I think lawyers in particular have a problem with is, the saying, there's no such thing as a stupid question. You sometimes get stupid answers, but there's no such thing as a stupid question. I think lawyers are always worried about showing weakness, or giving the suspicion they might not know something. Don't. I mean, it's fine. Ask. If you don't understand something, it's much better to ask, find out at that point, and then go forward with the knowledge, rather than carrying on in ignorance. It'll just make things worse. And of course, if you make a mistake, deal with it straight away, own up to it, get on with it, rather than letting it fester, because that will just be a cause of stress and concern.
Thank you very much. Actually, those are those are pearls of wisdom you're giving us. I really like when you're going through hell, keep going.
Yeah, I think somebody else said that. It wasn't mine.
Yeah.
But,
That's a good one. But thank you for sharing this and keeping it real with us, especially like on the health point and the stress, because this is definitely something we all experience, and we should all be very careful and take care of ourselves.
absolutely.
So now, another question for you, Brandon. What would you say is the most memorable case you have been a part of, and why? Well, probably the most memorable case I was involved with wasn't actually an arbitration case. It was, although it did involve some tribunal work. It's many years ago now, but I acted for Edinburgh Rugby Club, a sports team here in Scotland, in a dispute with the Scottish Rugby Union. They're the sort of governing body for the sport in Scotland. And it was a total media circus, and my client called press conferences every other day and would say interesting and unpredictable things at these press conferences. I had to be on television a few times, and then we had a number of disciplinary sports tribunals and a court action, and then ultimately I ended up petitioning to liquidate the Scottish Rugby Union. And then they settled. So that was all pretty exciting stuff, and that sticks in my mind. That was a pretty wild case. Wow. So sports arbitration too. Nice. It was, yeah. I mean, it wasn't arbitration as such. There were tribunals, and although the parties were in dispute, but strictly speaking, one party as the governing body, had authority over my client, and so it got into all kinds of interesting and difficult situations. I can imagine, especially dealing with the press. Yeah. No, we had the actual press conferences with the banks of photographers, and it was big news at the time. It was good fun. Wow. Someone compared me to Hercule Poirot, which I remember being a somewhat ridiculous quote. They must have been running out of ideas that day. Wow. Thank you, Brandon.
Well, you already gave wisdom in terms of when you go through hell, you keep on going. Maybe specifically for arbitrator appointments, if people are looking to get arbitrator appointments, what would you advise them? How can they get a foot in the door, and how can they build a career as arbitrators?
Sure. Yeah, I actually did a webinar, a whole webinar on this for Robert Gordon University. I remembered when I saw your question. It is on YouTube. It's about an hour long if anyone is very interested or bored. You can't actually search for it because it's unlisted, but if anyone is really excited, I can send them the link.
Yes,
but in general,
send it to us. We want to see it.
I'll send you the link. There are slides and everything. It's wonderful. Anyway, beyond that, I think if an arbitration lawyer is looking to get appointments, first and foremost, ask for them. Ask LCIA, ask ICC, ask the institutions, because these larger bodies are very often looking for first-time arbitrators or less experienced arbitrators to take on the small cases. Because in a contract, very often one of these big institutions will be named as the appointing body, and then a small dispute comes up, and it's a real sledgehammer to crack a nut. So they're looking to do it economically. So newer arbitrators will generally be cheaper and willing to do it for less money. So the opportunity is there, but they have to know that you want to do it. So tell them. Beyond that, there are many things you can do. Get qualifications. So you have to invest your time and a bit of money, but for example, fellowship of the Chartered Institute is a route people can take. It doesn't require any experience. It's just a learning process and an assessment and some cash. And various bodies give training, not just the Chartered Institute. All the major institutions and the universities will offer courses. Build your network. The institutions will make appointments, but ultimately appointments are usually coming from lawyers who are appointing the arbitrators. So build your network, build your profile, build your reputation, publish articles and books in a particular area, attend conferences. We still have some tickets for the ICCA Congress if anybody wants to go. He said advertising. Speak at conferences where you can. Apply to institutional panels. Some of them are fairly easy to get onto. Some of them are very difficult to get onto, but if you don't ask, you won't get, so try. Try to get tribunal secretary work. That's a good way to get in about an arbitral process and get yourself known to arbitrators and to the parties. And volunteer. You can volunteer to take part in consumer arbitration schemes or fixed price small arbitration schemes, and that will build up your experience. Very often people are just looking for the number of arbitrations you've done. So if you can say, well, I've done 20 arbitrations, okay, they were low value holiday insurance claims or something like that, but it's still the process. It's still an arbitration you've done. So, and it will give you the experience of doing an arbitration in a pretty low risk environment that allows you then to say that you have that experience when you're applying to get on the rosters of larger institutions. So I would suggest that as well. So it's all of these things. It's always difficult to say how that's all going to converge into your first major appointment, but the more you try, the more likely you are to succeed.
Thank you. That's incredibly great advice. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Great advice. Thank you so much, Brandon. And before we let you go, we have a little bonus question that usually Jeanette asks, but she gave her seat to Victoria today for a special episode of Arbitration Life and myArbitration. So the question is, what song get you through the day? What's your theme song?
Theme song. What is my theme song? As in the music I get to play when I walk into a room, or just
For example, I like that.
Let's go with Kings of Leon, which you will have heard of. Holy Roller Novocaine. I quite like that one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good choice. Thank you so much.
And that might get me through today as well. That might be my theme song. Who knows?
Okay. Well, I like that. Thank you so much for your time, Brandon, and for all those pearls of wisdom and all your advice, and also for making time for us because you're very busy right now. We very much look forward to seeing you in Edinburgh.
And you?
Best of luck for, the last preparation
Home stretch.
for the Congress.
My pleasure.
Can't wait, Brandon. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Okay, see you soon.
You too. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Brandon, for joining us for this special episode of Arbitration Life and myArbitration.
And for more Arbitration Life and myArbitration, please be sure to hit the subscribe button on our respective YouTube channel and to also follow us on LinkedIn and Instagram.